So the big question is this: how do most agents who don't have access to the secrets that the top agents in our industry hoard to themselves grow and prosper in today's real estate environment? That's the question. And this video podcast is the answer. I'm Pat Hyben, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. And now for the review of the day. Okay, 5-star review from Love Max. Love Max says, amazing podcast. Must listen to every episode. Love this podcast. My favorite ever. Learning a lot and using the free information at all times. Thank you, Love Max. Keep the comments coming, guys. I love them. And remember, I eat feedback for breakfast. So give me a 1-star review if you want, or a 5-star review if you want. I don't care. And the more reviews we get, the better guests we get. So please, subscribe first, and then leave us a review or wherever you're listening. All right, Rockstar Nation, I got a great guest. Has been recommended by many of you, and I'm excited to have him on. He's got a lot of accolades behind him. I'm going to let him do his biography for you. But without further ado, from Miami, Florida, Mr. Christopher Leavitt. Chris, how you doing? Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
I'm great. Thank you. How are you doing?
Awesome. Hey, Chris, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you better?
Sure. So right now I'm actually in Palm Beach, Florida at my sales office for La Clara Palm Beach, which is a new development project here. The market in Palm Beach County is blowing up. It's amazing. It's really strong. So I'm just here today actually meeting some clients. So you're seeing a kitchen behind me if you're watching this video-wise. But just to give you a little bit of a bio on myself, I've been in the real estate business for over 20 years. I started in New York City selling luxury real estate, and from 1996 to 2009. And in 2009, I moved down to Miami, and I sold in Miami from 2009 to 2014, and then made the move officially to Palm Beach in 2014, and have just been riding this insane wave of very, very busy market here on Palm Beach Island since then. So, you know, I'm a veteran in the business, if you will.
I really like how you're able to move from, one market to the next, and I want to talk to you about that. But first, let's get into some nitty gritty. Like how many houses have you sold in the last 12 months?
Over 20, but
okay.
Those are big numbers. You know,
what's your average sale price there?
I would say around $8 million.
$8 million. Okay. Wow. So you're at, 150 million and or so volume. What is your, we like to call it ECI, ego commission income. What is your GCI, your gross commission from that whole 150 million?
I don't talk about my income, but I will say it's high. It's good.
Yeah. And so what was the reason that you moved from Miami to Palm Beach?
Okay, so a long time ago, I would say around 1999, I was working for the Corcoran Group in New York City for Barbara Corcoran, who now is a star on Shark Tank. Barbara Corcoran and I became very close. I was very lucky to get very sage advice from Barbara many times throughout my career with her. And the one thing she told me was, I had read a book called Who Moved My Cheese? Do you know that book?
Yep, I've read it. Yep. Okay,
so it's a really great short little book that basically says when things aren't working in either a market or even if you're like specializing in the 5 to 10 million range. Well, if that is drying up and you see that the 300 to 800,000 market is booming, move to that. Make that move. And I did that. I followed her advice, and I left New York at a time when the stock market was falling, and it was a mess. It was end of 2008, early 2009. And I had an opportunity in Miami to sell out a new condo, the W South Beach, which was a condo hotel on the ocean. And it was a really smart move because even though it was so dramatic and sort of against the grain of what I was doing, it was what I needed to do to make money at the time. You know, it made sense to not keep pounding a pavement that wasn't bringing any return in New York City at the time. So I just made that move, and I always wanted to go to Florida. And I think that was really ingrained in my mind from Barbara back in the day, you know, to say when things are tough and they're not working, make a move.
Wow. And then you made another one, and I want to talk to you a little bit about $1 Million Listing. I know you were one of the stars of $1 Million Listing Miami. At one, they canceled it after one season, right?
They did.
And was that the reason you said, you know, if they're canceling this anyways, I'm going to bail, I'm going to go somewhere new? Or what made you make this?
No.
Yeah. So
very interesting. If you look at the last episode of that show, you know, it's hard to remember, that was so long ago, but I had an interview to do a project in Palm Beach. It was the last episode. It just happened, you know, organically. So,
and you said, I'll take it. And how far is Palm Beach from Miami?
It's about an hour drive. It's about a 50-minute train ride now that we have the amazingly luxurious Bright Line. So it's very easy to get to and quick from Miami to Palm Beach. But, you know, Miami was, at that time, it was starting to slow down a bit. And Palm Beach was getting a lot of notoriety in the press, and the marketplace was starting to move. So I did that move again. And it was a very smart move because it launched me into a very difficult market to break into, which is the Palm Beach market. It's very small, very competitive. Very few players do 99% of the business.
Wow. And this project that you moved for, right? It was, tell me about it. Tell me like the product and what it was.
Sure. So the project I moved for was the Bristol Palm Beach, which is right now almost completed. Closings will start in the fall. 69 units from $5 to $45 million. You know, to be granted that project, to be the director of sales for it, and to have those 69 listings was a huge motivator for me to move. Yet still be able to keep my resale business going. And it was just a very, very smart move. And that building sold out very quickly. There's only one or two left right now. So it was a very, very smart move. I think if I had stayed in Miami, I don't think I'd be as successful as I am right now.
Yeah, and then one thing leads to another is what people need to understand, right? Because once you got in and you started selling those, and it gave you an opportunity to meet more people for some resales, correct?
Absolutely. You know, the minute that I started selling that product, I've always grown up coming to Palm Beach, so I have that knowledge of the town and the community. But that entree for the project really was my launching pad and my gaining legitimacy as an agent in the market. You know, it was a little tough, honestly, to come to Palm Beach, which is a very conservative, kind of tight-lipped, we don't like a lot of press with our agents, you know, to come off the heels of a TV show where I was very well known, to break into a market that's a little quieter and not as flamboyant, if you will, was very challenging too. So it was a risk.
Yeah, I noticed that. You know, I was looking back at some of your stuff, Chris, and, you know, you used to write a lot of articles for The Street, and you used to, you know, have blog posts and videos, and of course, all your shows on Bravo Television are up online, and then it kind of goes dark a little bit. And so that was a conscious thing, right? You said, you know, This is how I'm getting business in Miami, but this is not how I'm going to get business in Palm Beach.
Right. So right after the show, you know, it was a fun show for me to do. I enjoyed it. I think I was well received in relation to the other people on the TV show, I think, from what I've been told. I had a lot of offers to do other things, you know, other TV shows that were maybe not real estate related, but other fun kind of cool things. But I just know TV now, and it's such a risk to do a show, you know. So if you leave the real estate world and you say go do a travel show or something that was being offered to me, well, gosh, what if that didn't pan out? What if that didn't do well? I would be sort of then branded as this kind of like reality star that didn't succeed, or, you know, on another show. So I really said to myself, you know what, The real estate show didn't work out. It was fun to do. It did launch me, it did give me a lot of notoriety in business, which was good. But I just really decided to focus in on the craft itself versus the public persona of it all. So that was a choice that I made that I think was the right choice.
And they don't pay you for that, do they?
They do.
They do pay you. What kind of, what do they pay
Nominal. It's nominal compared
to? It's like union wages or something.
I think it paid for my shoe salary on the show, That's basically it.
Tribeofmillionaires.com. Guys, write that down. Rockstar Nation got a free special offer for you. Now, I've just written a book, and it's just been published. Co-authored it with David Osborne, who's been on this show multiple times. If you don't know David, he is one of the top execs at Keller Williams Real Estate, was personally mentored for the last 2 decades by Gary Keller himself, and he's in all kinds of businesses. His bio and explanation and everything is in this book. But anyways, David and I got together. We decided to write a book. We called it Tribe of Millionaires. And I guarantee you it's going to change your life. To find out more, just go to tribeofmillionaires.com. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Only thing we ask in return is, of course, number one, you pay the shipping. Not a big deal. But number two, that you go on Amazon and write us a review. We're really looking to get an incredible amount of reviews, and because of that, we're giving this book away for free. Go to tribeofmillionaires.com today. Hey, real estate agents and rock stars. If you're getting value out of the content in this episode, make sure you like the video and subscribe to this channel. Also, click the little bell icon to be notified about upcoming episodes. And I would also love it if you left a comment and shared the most impactful tips and tactics you've learned from the knowledge shared in this episode, or even maybe make a suggestion requesting a topic of what you'd like to learn in future episodes. I welcome any feedback below. Now, back to the episode. So let's talk. You had mentioned before we started this that lately, for whatever reason, it may be just the market that you're dealing with. It may be a shift in the market. It may be something that's a little more universal, which I think it is, and I think it's important to talk about it, is the clients are seeming to become tougher and tougher to deal with these days. And you've been thinking a lot about this, so I want to see if we could dig into it a little bit so you could help everybody listening.
Sure. So what I've been experiencing in the past, let's say month or so, 2 months, is very challenging clients. Maybe a little bit older, a little bit used to sort of being the person in charge, if you will. And then it's a very emotional thing to purchase a home, as we all know, right? It brings out, let's say, the worst in people. And I think that it's really critical for an agent to know how to navigate these people, to not be spooked by their attitude, to not shut down or not be defensive. A lot of us become very defensive. Remember, the customer's always right. That's the number one thing that I feel when I go into a store. I don't want an attitude from someone in a store. I don't want to be challenged. I want to be heard, listened to, serviced, basically. And a lot of this difficultness is just sort of them processing what's going on, what is happening, understanding. There's a lot to understand and to navigate when you buy something, and you would expect that some of these people who are extremely high up in their profession would know, but they don't, because it's not what they do every day. It's what we do every day. But if they're running a major Fortune 500 company, real estate necessarily is not their forte. They don't necessarily know all the innuendos of it. So a lot of that I've found in these, quote, difficult people is just a frustration of not really getting it and understanding it, or not feeling as though they're being heard, listened to. So I've had like a master class in this in the past couple of months. And what I've learned is that it's never about me. As long as I do my job, I always present the facts. I always put everything in an email. Or follow up with an email. I never lead with my own selfish needs. So that's another important thing, especially
Well, let's slow this down. What does that mean? I
okay.
know what it means, but I want you to elaborate on it.
Okay, when we're doing a deal, we sometimes either we need the commission or we're just thinking about the commission.
Well, we
right?
want the commission, yeah.
We want the commission, whether we need it, we don't need it, we just want it. And a lot of us get lost in that, and we don't remember that you don't get really paid until the closing is done and the check clears. I mean, that's really what it is. So never let your decisions be led by the end result, which is the commission, right? So you always have to make sure that whatever you're doing, whatever move you're making is for the good of the client and not your own selfish commission at the end. It sounds really easy to think that, right? Because it's the right thing to do, it's the fiduciary right thing to do. But we do get lost in that sometimes, especially when the commissions are very large and there's a lot at stake. So when you're making moves and maybe the buyer's putting you in charge of doing an inspection report or things like that, I always say, don't ever recommend your own inspector. Don't recommend lawyers. Let them find them on their own, because you don't want to be held liable for any reason. I think
that's an interesting thought there. So a couple of things come to mind. Number one, you're saying you almost need like a Butler mentality, right? Like you're the butler. Whatever they say, you're just going to jump and do it, right?
Yes,
at the end of the day,
you're not going to be a weakling, right? You're not going to be an order taker. You're going to be a strong, confident realtor, but who treats them with the kind of respect that they want, even when they may be going off the handle, because that's not about you. But you're not going to be a pushover by any means, please. I don't want to tell you to do that. But just don't get so defensive when they get upset, because it's not usually about you if you've been doing your job. Now, if you're not knowledgeable on real estate, you don't know what you're doing, and they're coming down on you for that, that's a whole different topic.
So if you haven't been communicating and you haven't been explaining yourself better, it's probably a symptom of that, is what you're saying. And the key of what you're doing is maybe, are you explaining yourself better? Are you spending more time? Are you being more wordy? Are you writing more detailed emails now? Is that how you're solving this problem?
Yes, I'm also taking a breath. I'm not responding right away, on an immediate thing. If someone calls me and says, well, what's going on with this? It's okay to say, let me process what we're talking about and I'll get right back to you. Things like that, versus needing to respond right away. Sometimes we do get bullied by the client and scared, and it's important to take a breath, think about it. Don't respond to an email immediately. Don't respond to a text right away. We're so quick to respond today that it puts us in a compromising position sometimes. So I have learned to really just dial back and, okay, 10 minutes could make or break this, in the way that I respond, in the tone I have. All of that's very, very important. And I just think these are really key tools to staying confident, strong, and being really in control.
What other advice do you have? Or give me an example of a buyer or a seller who came across wrong to you or was wrong, and how did you solve it and settle and finally get the house sold and settle?
Right. So, I have countless issues because they're just always there. Honestly, there's always something. But I think that it is assuring the buyer or seller that you will handle this. You will speak to whatever, let's call it, an inspector comes in and says, every air conditioning needs to be removed, or, managing, let's say, an inspection report is a really good example. When things that they thought were fine suddenly become huge deals. How do you minimize that without making it seem like it's not a big deal? Those are art. There's an art to that. And it's then going back and really reading the inspection report yourself, maybe with your manager, and going through it and then be able to respond in a better, clearer way to them. Okay, well, it really looks like this is the one air conditioning that needs to be replaced. Let's get a few bids. It's just, again, taking your time and sort of I don't know if de-alarming is a word, but sort of, dialing it back to make sure that they don't go off the deep end, and make sure that they know that they've got that you've got their back, and that you'll walk them through it and make sure that this isn't such a big deal.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to do because at one point you want to take the wind out of their sails, right? You want to they got all this pressure, like, I can't believe this. So you want to be like, yeah, I can't believe it either. Because if you're like, if you're going against them, then it's going to cause friction. But at the same time, you want to be calm, like you said, and said, it's okay. This is normal. This is what we expected, or not expected, but we see this all the time. And some of that is done going back to what you said earlier with just, being better communicator as what could potentially happen before it happens.
Exactly. And I think that to agree with them and say, yeah, this is horrible, not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Definitely not. If they're saying, oh my God, this is this, say, okay, well, every inspection brings up something, let's look at this piece by piece, because probably they haven't read it. They probably just gotten an overview or skimmed it, or, so you have to agree with them like that is really, because you're going along with the hype and you're all going to get crazy. So saying, okay, well, yeah, there's some issues. Let's look at them and let me get back to you and whatnot. Also, when you're selling them a house and they're in that honeymoon period where they're super excited, I always try to minimize it a little bit, because I want them to know, hey, well, yes, we did a good job negotiating. Everything seems great, but there's going to be an inspection report, and we should anticipate that there's probably going to be something that they'll find. So just know that ahead of time. I like to prepare people for that, so they don't, there isn't such a high and a low of excitement and upset when they get the report back.
Yeah,
I think it's really important to minimize all the highs and lows that they experience.
Excellent. Okay, so let me talk to you about your business now. That now that the Bristol's only a couple left, you're going to start focusing all on resale business in Palm Beach, do you think?
No, so I have a very good, robust resale business. That's great. I sell everything from 700,000 to high, almost 100 million. So I'm in every little market there. But my primary focus is the La Clara, the project where I'm sitting right now. It's a new project about 8 buildings south of the Bristol that is being built right now. 83 apartments, 26 stories, beautiful, beautiful project. It just broke ground. And this is sort of the new next building here in West Palm Beach.
That's awesome. And is it the same builder? Or did you have to work to get this
different
job?
builder. Different builder.
Did they call you, or did you call them?
They called me.
That's awesome. And
yeah.
And do you still do business in Miami?
I refer my business in Miami. I can't possibly service a listing in Miami at this time, because it's not fair to the seller. So what I will do is, if somebody calls me and says, Chris, we want you to list, I will call one of my trusted agents in Miami and speak to them and hopefully get a referral fee of some kind. But if they really want me involved, then sometimes what I do is I refer it, and then when it's time for the negotiations, I'll do the negotiating, or I'll go, if it's a third visit and they're ready to make an offer, I'll go and make that visit to meet the client and understand where they're coming from.
Hey, real estate rockstars, this is Pat Hyben, and before we jump back into today's content, I want to tell you about an extraordinary offer from an extraordinary company. I'm talking about My Outdesk. If you haven't heard of My Outdesk, basically they're a virtual assistant company, a VA company that specializes in virtual assistants for real estate agents. Yeah, I'm talking about transaction coordinators, marketing assistants. I'm talking about ISAs, inside sales agents that prospect thousands and thousands of seller leads and buyer lead follow-ups. I mean, these guys are trained in this stuff specifically. You're not using a company that doesn't know or understand real estate sales. 4 out of 5 of the top teams in the US use My Outdesk for their virtual assistants. And because I know the owner, Daniel Ramsey, I've known him for over a decade, and I know how awesome and incredible this company is and how it saves agents thousands and thousands of dollars every single week and makes them thousands and thousands of more every single week. We are going to give you a $400 coupon off of your first month of a virtual assistant and give you a free book entitled Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. So you can like read it and look into it before you decide anything. It's called Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. And you can get it real easy. All you got to do is text the word HIBAN, H-I-B-A-N, to 31996. That's H-I-B-A-N to 31996. And download your free book, Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. And don't forget to mention also that you get a $400 discount, which will give you a coupon for that when you download the book. Thank you, guys, and I hope you enjoy and make a ton of money using my Outdesk. Well, and do you have any communication with the other people that were on the show, $1 Million Listing Miami?
Not really.
No,
I like Chad. He's great. I've sent him some business, but not particularly. I didn't know them going into it.
Okay.
So we didn't really, I think they did a terrible job casting that show, frankly.
Really? Why?
Because,
what happened?
Well, I think that a show that will do well is one where everybody knows each other and they're already in a competitive mindset with each other. I didn't know that girl. I didn't really know Chad, so it kind of was very unnatural and not.
How did you not know each other? Wouldn't you have co-opted before and that sort of thing?
Not really. No, I didn't know. Samantha was an agent from Fort Lauderdale who I had never heard of, and Chad, I knew him, but I didn't.
Yeah. And why did it get canceled? Do you think?
You'll have to ask Bravo, but I think that it was poorly cast. Myself excluded, of course.
Of course.
I mean, I think I did a great job. I think I was funny and entertaining and educational all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and sometimes in the other shows, they'll move people in and out. I'm surprised I just didn't do that,
Miami has a bad rap with reality shows. Housewives of Miami didn't last. There was another reality show called Hot Listings Miami. I don't know. The world doesn't like to watch Miami. However, I will tell you the biggest mistake they did was airing that show in the summer. Because I think that everyone whoever watches TV is aspirational. They want to sort of live in the life that they're looking at. And if they're watching it, from Nebraska in the hot summer night watching Miami, it's not as enticing as it would be if it were airing in February. So I think that also was part of it. Also, it was very hard for me to get access to really what I was working on at the time. I was selling the addition for Ian Schrager, a super luxurious condominium that I could not even walk inside that building with cameras. So that was unfortunate.
Was it because it was exclusive? They didn't want cameras? They
didn't want TV cameras. Ian is very private. The nicest guy in the world to work with, but he was very private. He didn't want cameras. The W South Beach, I had a bunch of resales there. They didn't want it. So it became challenging to give that sexy, display of Miami because all the great stuff that I was selling at the time wasn't able to be portrayed. So I had to kind of fight to find things that I could work with.
You would think it'd be the opposite. You would think they would want the publicity, that it would help sales.
Not always. And at the time it was 2014, so it wasn't, reality TV was obviously big and whatnot, but it wasn't as accepted, I think, as it is today. Maybe.
Wow. Amazing. Well, Chris, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to respect your time. I know you got a buyer actually coming in to your model here in minutes. Let's talk about your free gift. Talk to our Rockstar Nation about what free gift you could give them so they can remember you by and use in their daily business.
Okay. Well, my free gift would be you can email me anytime or, get me at the Chris Leavitt on Instagram, Leavitt. But the free gift that I'll give you guys today is that I'll summarize for you sort of the 5 key points of how to deal with a difficult buyer and how to get through that process and not want to fire them.
That's awesome. And guys, you should print this out and put it on your desk because we're all dealing, at least once a year, if not many times over, with difficult buyers and sellers. So guys, I'm going to put this on hibandigital.com/Christopher. I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to just do Chris Leavitt, and it's Leavitt.
Sorry, Leavitt.
Leavitt. That's Leavitt. First name Chris. Hibandigital.com/Chris Leavitt. I'm going to put his Instagram link. I'm going to put his Facebook. Everything and anything. If you want to reach out to him, I'm going to put his information there. You want to send him a referral, I'll put it there for you too. And I will also put his free gift. And you can also get it by going to hibandigital.com/toolbox and getting his free gift, as well as everyone else who's come on the show's free gift. Chris, this has been fun, buddy. I really appreciate you coming on. And if I'm ever in Palm Beach, Florida, I'll definitely look you up and take a tour of the condos.
Please do. My last parting words are, don't take anything personally, because it's usually never about you.
It usually is never. Good advice. All righty, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox. And it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now.